I love you 3000. Welcome in to the Bro Force Squad podcast. This is episode 97, and just as we've been since the very beginning, we're just a bunch of bros drinking beer and watching movies. This is our 2019 movie year in review, and as you start popping your champagne to ring in the year 2020, we are going to go back over our predictions at the beginning of the year, see how right or wrong we were, and then, of course, talk shit to each other if we weren't. I am your host, the Mayor, Jeff Hornacek. Let's get started by meeting the fellow bros with me today. And we get started, as always, in the lab to the mad scientist, Brian Banner. Now, Banner, with 2019 wrapping up, what invention of yours from this past year are you most proud of?
So, it's called the shotgun tee, and it's a golf tee that doubles as a tool you can use to open your beer to shotgun it.
Is it just a funnel that you turn the other way on the ground?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So, again, you're the scientist.
So you've heard of it.
I was going to say, so what is the difference between this and just a funnel?
Can just a normal funnel make you fly?
No, I guess not.
Mine flies.
Those of you listening at home, Banner had... How many beer bongs do you think I held for you in college total?
I'd set the over-under probably 200.
Okay, and how many of those do you think you had more than just your boxers on for?
Probably like 175.
Okay. All right. That seems fair. All right, next we go to our enforcer in the paint, Matt Geiger. Now, Geiger, as our enforcer, I have to ask, with the year coming to a close, if there's one person from 2019 you could fight that you didn't get the chance to, who would you choose?
Kathleen Kennedy. And the reason I haven't been able to fight her is because everyone's just so damn, PC nowadays that I don't think I could get away with it. I think that I would have to step down from the pod, even though our fans are like just terrible people like us. I still think I'd have to step down from the pod.
I feel like you would, like, if I said to you, hey man, you can attack Kathleen Kennedy, but you got to leave the pod, you would sit there and really think about it though.
I mean, I'd have to, talk to my wife about it, my friends and family.
You'd be like, what if I just start biting her in the leg and people have to rip me off? That seems, at least we can explain that away. Possibly. Kathleen, this is coming from someone who has not seen The Mandalorian or The Rise of Skywalker, just out of pure protest, which I have to give you credit for sticking by your
sticking to
beliefs.
your guns.
Thank you.
Something that most of us here on the Bro Force Squad can't do.
Yeah, pretty much everyone, all my brothers on this podcast make me sick to my stomach, even looking at your face right now through Skype, but it's fine.
I deserve that, and I'm going to get it worse here as we go through our predictions. So if you have listened to our show before, or even if you haven't, you know that we start every episode off with the most important thing in any bro's life, and that is Chest Day. Now, our Chest Day this year, we are going to go back and revisit our picks from the 2019 preview show, which I will link in the description here. Basically, we made our predictions for the entire year with movies of our most anticipated films, our biggest sleeper movie, our biggest flop of the year, whether critically or at the box office, and then some honorable mentions. So we'll go through each of those three categories one by one and see how correct we were. And then at the very end, we'll each go through a custom top 5 list that we made for the year. But before we do that, if you listen to our preview show for 2019, Banner laid down the law, which he should. I mean, we need to hold each other accountable. And he said that we needed to make a pact based around integrity, which is not our strong suit here at the Bro Force Squad, where we are required to see every movie that we talked about on here for ourselves. Like, I don't have to see the ones Banner talked about, but if I mention a movie, I need to go see it. And we've yet to come up with a punishment for those of us who didn't see any of the movies we talked about, but I'm just bringing this up now for the first time, and I'm obviously welcome to your input. But how about for every movie each one of us didn't see, the other two members of the pod are allowed to force a movie on that person to watch. So, for example, totally random example here. If Geiger didn't see a film that he talked about, Banner and I are each able to prescribe him a movie. It could be from any year that he has to fucking watch.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as you guys don't make me watch a Star Wars thing to fuck up my protest, then I'm game with that. That's fine.
I can agree to those terms.
I'm fine with those terms, yeah. You should do hostage negotiations, because right now those are two hostages that would just be fucking set free.
It's kind of like gaining its own traction. I have a lot of people living in my house right now drinking Kool-Aid and Toke, so I don't want to disappoint them. You know, I'm a god to them.
Well, bad times at the El Royale. You're sort of
Most of them are
your own life
Trekkies.
up.
I'll admit it. Most of them are Trekkies, but you know, what are you gonna do?
The low-hanging fruit, the guys who are looking for some social group to be a part of. And I actually have Ronnie Cycli, our legal counsel's predictions on here as well. He is dying of an illness right now, so he cannot be on the podcast. But I will definitely mention them for him, and we will hold him accountable as well. So let's start off with our most anticipated movies of 2019. Banner, we'll start with your pick. First off, you did say you would finally see The Space Between Us. So I have to ask for the second year in a row, did that happen, even though I have a feeling I know the answer?
I actually did, and we talked about it on one of the episodes.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and it's actually a pretty good movie. I really enjoyed it. So,
Now-
yeah, pretty excited I got a chance to watch that.
The reason this is relevant here, this was your sleeper film from 2018, which you never saw.
No. 2017.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Well, I'm glad you finally saw it. And Gary Oldman's like, it's about fucking time.
Was that movie taking the same prescription that Michael Jackson was? Like it was just sleeping for that long a time, like it just couldn't wake up, or what the fuck was the deal?
I don't want to say too soon, but I want to say something. I don't know. All right, Boehner, your actual prediction for for most anticipated movie of 2019 was Angel Has Fallen. So are we going to start off with a strike here?
Of course we are. I didn't go see that fucking movie.
God damn.
But more importantly, I did see The Space Between Us. I think we need to focus on the positive here, guys. The movie looked good. I just never got around to seeing it.
And people at home listening, I promise you, unlike some previous year's podcasts, we actually have seen pretty much all of these movies. This was just an odd one to lead off with.
Check out Olympus Has Fallen, though. We did that movie commentary.
Banner and I did, actually in anticipation for Angel Has Fallen, and then didn't even go see that in theaters. I think this just came out at a weird time, man. It was like end of the
August.
summer. Yeah, it was like end of the summer, like school was starting back up. We were all fucking busy. And we'd all spent like all of our money and time seeing Endgame like 6 times in theaters and everything else that came out. So I put this on the studio. Like, do better.
Yeah, this is their fault. It's their fault I didn't go see the movie that I really wanted to see.
Yep, exactly. All right, moving on to a positive. And we all know we hate telling Geiger he was correct, but he fucking nailed this. Geiger's most anticipated movie of 2019 was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And he said, quote, "It could be the greatest movie ever made." And he predicted he would like it better than The Departed and Pulp Fiction. I said I thought it could be better than Inglourious Bastards, and that I hoped Tarantino would do a little bit of revisionist history, which he actually did end up doing with the movie. So Geiger, brag a little bit, man. You fucking love this movie. Critics love this movie. Audiences love this movie. I mean, this is pretty damn impressive.
Okay, before I brag a little bit, I'm going to take one little step back. I saw this movie opening weekend. I saw it again on Kodi. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a legal app that you can download and watch movies because it wasn't out yet. I believe it's out now on DVD. I need to watch it again. So before, I can't say it's better than Pulp Fiction yet. I can't say it's better than Inglourious Bastards because, as you know, a Tarantino movie is like a fine wine that after you watch it about 40 fucking times is just as good. Like when I didn't watch Pulp Fiction for 5 years and I decided to watch it one Saturday night, I'm like, my God, I forgot like so much about this. However, whenever I did leave the theater, I'm like, man, the fucking soundtrack into the movie, this is perfect. It was well acted. The story was fun. The ending scene was fucking Tarantino ridiculous that I fucking loved. I believe it was a perfect movie. I'm still on the record, though, on the fence if it was like his greatest work. I'm just not sure. I'm going to have to watch like 20 or 30 more times. However, I believe this was the best movie of the year. And I think it should clean up at the Oscars, man. I don't know what else will be around to like take from this because, I mean, directing, writing, acting. I mean, this movie fucking took the cake.
Yep. I agree with everything you said. There are two movies, both starring Scarlett Johansson, that I'll probably talk about a little bit later that might give it a little bit of a run at the Oscars. But at the beginning of the year preview show, you said Hollywood in the 60s, like what's not to love about that?
Yeah.
And Tarantino dove headfirst into that concept, and it was fucking incredible. And the last 20 minutes of this movie are just fucking bonkers and so much goddamn fun. Basically, the second Brad Pitt says, "Oh, here we go," when the drugs start hitting him, that's when the movie just goes off the rails in the most Tarantino way possible.
It's a fucking great film. Star-studded cast, and I was laughing my ass off a lot. And the second time I watched half of it, and I was laughing again. I was like, man, this is a really good written film.
And I'll say this, not very plot driven, but I think same with The Hateful Eight, which I know a lot of people hate, but you know I love. I think those are some of Tarantino's strongest movies where he can basically have essentially nothing happen and have you still be so locked in and interested.
Yeah.
It's almost like braggadocious. He's like, dude, I can write and make a movie about fucking nothing, but if you give me good actors, I'll make it interesting. It's like he dares himself to. So great work there. Banner, did you see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I've seen half of it. I have not finished it yet.
Okay. When you watch the end, report
It's a
back.
long movie. I think it's around 3 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty long.
Geiger, the second time you saw it, did you watch the end credits scene with Jack Dawson doing the advertisement?
No, I saw it on YouTube though, which is fucking hilarious. I watched probably the first hour and a half of it, and then I had to go do something, and I was lucky to find a stream that was actually like watchable, but it was great. I mean, it was just as good as the first time I saw it. You catch a lot of stuff too that you laugh about that I'm like, man, I totally forgot that or didn't even remember it from the theater.
And that's Tarantino's trademark, right? Like the second viewing is better than the first.
Yeah, it's just like a old school Will Ferrell film, like Step Brothers, like all those that whenever you leave the theater, you totally forget like all the one-liners because you're like, man, there's just so fucking many. I'm gonna have to watch this 80 million times to pick up on everything. Agreed. Great watch though. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. Best movie of the year in my opinion.
And definitely watch it before Oscar season because you're
absolutely. And it's not an Oscar movie that sucks to watch. It's so much fun to watch.
Was it last year or 2 years ago where we like gave each other homework and poor Banner had to watch Roma?
Yeah.
And I did.
You did.
I fucking did, and it was good actually.
You were like the guy in the group project who's like, all right, I'll put together the fucking PowerPoint. Just send me your shit. And we were like, oh damn, all right, thanks, man. Cycly, who is unfortunately not here, get better soon. His most anticipated movie, again, another guy who hit it perfectly, was Us by Jordan Peele. And he praised originality in Hollywood and cited how many movies in 2019 are sequels, reboots, or remakes, which, again, we're not averse to. We don't dislike, but anytime someone has an original idea, an original concept, I think it needs to be given attention. And I saw Us. I enjoyed it. I think it was a little too smart for me. I don't quite fucking understand it, but I know it was a great movie. And I know Cycly really liked it a lot. We've had some in-depth drunk discussions on it. Did any of you guys see Us?
Absolutely not.
No, I've heard about it. I think it might be a little too scary even for me.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, so I did have a problem.
Scary movies, but
he told my fiance and I that it was really not scary at all. And about the third time someone got their throat stabbed in the theater, we were a little upset that we were sold a false bill of goods. But it is a good movie. All right, on to my most anticipated. It was the Netflix film Triple Frontier, which had just an incredibly badass cast. Oscar Isaac, Ben Affleck, Charlie Hunnam, Garrett Hedlund, and the Mandalorian Pedro Pascal. And I said it was my favorite type of movie, a heist movie, and I think I gave it a 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and I stand by it. Maybe I'm overrating it a little bit. I think both of you guys saw it. Do you remember Triple Frontier? It was from like February or March.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. I enjoyed it a lot.
Great
movie. I think we did a review about it if you want to check it out on bro4squad.com or YouTube. But I think we really were talking about how like this might be the future of movies, like a budget film like that's not going to break the box office. Dude, just throw it on Netflix and Netflix will get a huge fucking bump that month because we all watched it. I watched it the first week it came out and loved it.
Yeah, it was awesome. And Banner, I think I don't know if you're on the review, but I know you said this to me in person. Charlie Hunnam is a solid actor, but he got exposed in this cast because everyone else was so awesome that Charlie Hunnam really stood out like a sore thumb. I don't know what
he
his
was bad.
What was that accent he was trying to do? That was like in and out of.
I don't know what he was trying to do, but overall, I agree. I think that was a fantastic movie. 5 out of 5. I don't know, a little aggressive, maybe like a 4 out of 5, but absolutely great movie. And I stand by that statement that we made, saying that this is the future of those like mid to low revenue films. That they're not going to get you a ton of money, but they'll get you something. Throw them on these streaming services. You have enough to pick out of them. Hell, make them bid for them, and that's the future of where we're going to be able to see a lot of these cool movies.
I believe Hunnam has another movie coming out soon too that looks fucking badass.
Him and McConaughey are in a a Guy Ritchie movie coming out.
Yeah,
in January.
it's it's him and somebody else. I can look it up.
But. I will say this about Triple Frontier. In the second act, you're like, dude, how does this thing have 40 minutes left? And then something happens, and it's like
it picks up.
It's a really cool take on the heist movie genre, I thought. All right, that's it for most anticipated. Our next was our biggest sleeper movies of 2017. So these were movies that did not have a lot of hype or that we thought could really come under the radar and surprise people. And I'll go in the order that we predicted them on the show. Cycli is first, and his is really unfair to judge. He said 1917, the Sam Mendes World War I flick. He cited World War I gets no love at the cinema. Well, it's actually been pushed back in a lot of theaters until early January.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
I'm not going to hold this against Cycli. It's not even accessible in like a lot of cities, probably where he lives as well. So I know he is excited to see this, but unfortunately it's just not. It's been moved back once, and now it's pushed back for its wide release till I think January 7th. So we'll basically count this as like NA or like no match. I don't know. Scratch. I don't know. Is there a better sports reference? And to that theme, Geiger's biggest sleeper movie also was pushed back. That is Sonic the Hedgehog. And I wrote
because of internet backlash, right? It wasn't anything else to do.
Right. What I wrote was the mouth breathers on the internet stopped it from being released because they wanted the animation redone.
I think it needed to be redone. Actually, just
it wasn't
a previous
that
point.
bad.
So Hunnam's new movie is called The Gentleman, coming out in 2020 with Matthew McConaughey, which actually, to fast forward to our anticipation review of 2020, that might be my biggest fucking sleeper movie. Anyway, Sonic the Hedgehog not coming out till 2020, so I didn't really have to see it. Actually, when I remembered that this was my biggest sleeper movie, I kind of started sweating and looking around Cody for it because I haven't fucking seen it. Then I remembered, oh yeah, I got pushed back. It's not even coming back this year. I'm still looking forward to it though, especially of our childhood, and especially if Knuckles makes an appearance. I mean, I'm sure
I know.
Tails
Give me
will
Knuckles and yeah. And Jim Carrey's take on Robotnik, I'm not going to act like Robotnik is this character that should be revered, but he's playing it really fucking stupid. We'll see about that. But I like James Marsden. I like Sonic. And you and I, same with Banner. I mean, grew up with Sega kids.
Fuck yeah.
So I'm willing to give this a shot. I'll give it my money. And again, so you and Cycli are both off the hook for the time being because this is not being released this year. Banner, I don't think you saw yours, which will give you 2 strikes here, but I actually think you were right. And you went with Shazam. And
look, I don't have to see the movies to know I'm going to be right, all right? I'm just good at this.
You were pretty cocky because you were flying high off of your Solo A Star Wars Story pick for 2018.
And I'm 2 for 2.
But you did declare that Shazam would bring the DCEU back. Now, Geiger is obviously the DCEU guy who has broken up with it and blocked its number on all channels.
And then texts it, yo, you up after Joker.
And the DCEU says, are you drunk? At 2 a.m. But Banner, at least based on critical reception, this is a good pick for you, man. I mean, Shazam, I didn't see much negative about it at all.
Yeah, no, everybody that I've talked to that actually did see it really enjoyed it. I think that they finally found that like middle market of, are we marketing more towards kids or are we doing more adult dark things? And I think they kind of rode that line better than most of the other DCU movies. And we've got 2 of them coming out next year now again. So
yeah, I think they'll go 1 for 2 next year between Wonder Woman 84 and Birds of Prey.
I agree, but we'll see.
We'll save that for the 2020 preview show. So my sleeper movies, again, as is tradition, we always try to get a little bit ballsy with our predictions just because it's more fun. And I was talking about Rocket Man with Taron
Yes.
Egerton and It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood with Tom Hanks. And I predicted that the best actor or best picture would come from one of these two films. I am very confident in saying those two predictions are not even fucking close to happening. In fact, they might not even get nominated in either category. But
I don't
I,
think Hanks will.
well,
Hanks
here's the thing.
always does.
So I really liked Rocket Man, and literally yesterday on Cody, I watched It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and I'll talk about it here in Protein Shake. But it is the biggest flaming pile of shit I've seen in like the past 2 months, and I will tell you why. It
Is
is
it
utterly.
just give me a little piece? Is it just desperate? Like, is this? Are they pulling their skirt
Oh,
way up with no
no,
one
I
going for the
wish.
Oscars?
I think Tom Hanks is in 14 minutes of the movie, of the 2 hour and 15-minute runtime.
Awesome.
Jesus.
It's
Just
not
to
about
talk about
Mr.
Rocket
Rogers.
Man for a little bit, Jeff. I liked it better than Bohemian Rhapsody. I liked that it was kind of a musical, and I thought Taron Egerton did a fucking fantastic job, and he should get a nomination for Best Actor.
Yeah, yeah, he was awesome in it. I think my only thing with Rocket Man versus Bohemian Rhapsody is Elton John. I don't think there wasn't as much conflict in his story as there was with Queen, and that's kind of on him. Like his really only problem was he hated his dad and he had a drug and alcohol problem.
Yeah, and the thing is like, it's way better. I'm trying to get like.
It's better when there's a band and there's like turmoil in the
Well,
band,
yeah,
you
like
know?
a Nirvana movie would be way better than like a Red Hot Chili Peppers movie because Kurt dies in it. Like when someone dies and you feel it and you're just waiting for that. Elton John's still alive, so that's what's kind of different about it.
But let's give Elton John credit. He signed off on that movie, and there are a lot of times in it where it makes him look like a total shithead. And he was
Yeah,
like, "No, man, that's how it happened. Put it in there," which is not easy to do.
he's sober now. Just has that shopping addiction.
Which is
Which who
is
doesn't?
worse. It takes more lives. Yeah, on Black Friday, put me on that list. So, I mean, I'll say that I guess I'm right in the sense that Rocket Man was good, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood wasn't, but neither of those are going to get Oscar noms. But at least I saw them. I made sure that happened. All right, biggest flop movies of 2019. Now, this does not have to be necessarily at the box office, because if the Transformers movies can make $1 billion each, we know that's not the best barometer of if a movie doesn't fucking blow donkey dick. So we said these were either going to be they would lose a ton of money or they would just not be very critically well received. And Banner, we'll start with you. You said Disney's live action remake of Aladdin. You did say it would make a ton of money, but you thought it could effectively kill or slow down the Disney live action reboots as people would get a little tired of their paint by numbers, which is basically like take all the scenes from the animated ones, add an extra song, add water. We're good to go. How do you feel about that pick now?
Yeah, I was wrong. I mean, Aladdin was great. It was probably the second best one, two, or three of the live actions that have come out.
Well, Dumbo's
And
way down at the bottom, right?
yeah, Dumbo was
Lion
way
King.
down at the bottom.
My mom
Uh,
didn't even like Dumbo, and she's very forgiving critic.
I think Lady and the Tramp, if you include those, is way down at the bottom. But I don't know. I thought Aladdin was actually really good, really well done. I was happy with everybody's portrayal. Going into it, you were real nervous about Will Smith and how he was going to handle the Robin Williams genie situation, and he did an absolute fantastic job with that. And I would not consider Aladdin a flop. I think Lion King is more of a flop than Aladdin.
Geiger and Cycling had an interesting discussion about this, where Geiger said he thought they should play to Will Smith's strengths and let him rap a little more. Cycling
Yeah.
was vehemently against that. They did the former; they let him rap, and I think Geiger was right. I think that worked out better. Don't try and make him Robin Williams, you know?
Just make him the Fresh Prince of the Genie bottle, and that's pretty much what they did. And Aladdin, like, I went into that because my wife wanted to see it with my arms crossed, being like, let's get this over with so I can bitch about it on the pod and be done with it. I was actually, I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. Actually, I with cable television and streaming services, I probably will. It wasn't that bad, and that's saying a lot because the trailers made it look terrible. Wasn't that bad?
I was very pleasantly surprised by it.
It's all
And I
Disney
think
wants to hear. That's all they want to hear. Wasn't that bad?
They changed enough to where I was like, all right, this is worth me going to see the live action version. Like it was definitely not, as opposed to Lion King, which is almost shot for shot. Would you agree, Tanner?
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about Lion King.
I mean, Aladdin took enough liberties. You got to take some risks, man, and they're not all going to pay off. But if you're going to make the movie and give me a reason to spend $15 a ticket, like at least take a few chances. All right, Cycly's biggest flop of 2019, Jumanji: The Next Level. He said he didn't think they could hit the Jumanji jackpot twice. And what are the odds Kevin Hart makes 2 movies I can stand in a 2-year span? This movie just came out, and for Christmas I went to go see Star Wars with my mom for a second time rather than seeing this. I mean, we're not the podcast to ask about this because we're getting pretty sick of The Rock and Kevin Hart. We get it. He's small. The Rock's big. The humor derived from that is not existent anymore. So I'll just go ahead and say Cycly's right. I haven't seen any box office numbers or critic response, but I'm assuming it's not that great, or at least like not to the case where we're going to get a third one. Have you guys read anything?
So this was mine too. My biggest flop as well.
That's right, it was.
And mine was more mathematically, I guess. So 70%, 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb, 58% on a Metacritic. Now, the reason I picked this is because it was sandwiched in between Frozen 2 and Star Wars, and I knew there were some Oscar bait movies coming out in 1917.
And that's exactly what you said, too. Yeah, you were like, this is in a bad spot.
However, I kind of, I think, misconstrued something. And the one thing is Star Wars fatigue. I think people are just, people that are just random people that don't really follow Star Wars that much, and they're like, I didn't really like The Last Jedi that much. Like, okay, you just want to see Jumanji? Like, yeah, sure. Because people are at the theaters because
Correct.
Most theaters are connected to the mall. So people are there to go see these movies. So I bet it's not doing as bad as I would have hoped. Don't get me wrong. I bet the movie fucking sucks. So.
Yeah, I mean, counter-programming is a real thing, dude. Like, people want to go to the theaters, and if they don't give a fuck, they might just want a shorter line. Like, how many times have you gone to the food court and just eaten at, like, a restaurant you weren't that big a fan of because the line was shorter than, like, Chick-fil-A or the Chinese place?
Right.
Almost every time.
Exactly.
Or the last time you went to the Chinese place that made you throw up and just want to kill yourself the next fucking morning, like that piece of shit Rian Johnson threw in theaters.
Yeah, but
so you're like, okay, I'll go to Chick-fil-A.
Exactly.
Happens all the time.
The analogy is your heart's in the right place, but Chick-fil-A is probably more fucking crowded than the Chinese place. But I get what you're saying.
Okay.
But Geiger, as always, kind of has the pulse on the people, saying, like, this is sandwich in the wrong spot. Again, flop, we have a little bit of a loose criteria to define it. I don't know how much people were expecting from Jumanji: The Next Level, but we keep fucking making these. So until we take a stand as a human race, I mean, this is what's going to happen.
Is this the second one?
The second one with The Rock. The third one because they're
with Rob Williams, but okay. Because the first one was Welcome to the Jungle. I just don't. Jack Black just wears on me too. Like, he was funny for a while, and Shallow Hal was on the other day too, and I was like, my God, I hate Jack Black. I just can't fucking stand him.
Yeah, he's changed a lot. His days of Orange County and Tenacious D being like really vulgar, like drive-through, are long gone. All right, mine. I'm still not sure how I feel about it. I mean, I'm definitely wrong, but I said Joker. And my quote was, I cannot believe how little I care about this. I still cited Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker as the best movie performance I've ever seen. I stand by that. I did see Joker, and I did like it. It is a very visceral and emotional movie. And obviously, it has done gangbusters in terms of critical reception and box office. It's probably going to win a lot of Oscars. Joaquin Phoenix will be nominated for Best Actor. So I'm definitely way wrong here. There's really nothing else to say, right? I fucked up. I don't know what to tell you. I even liked the movie. So
I mean, it was a great movie, very well cast. Joaquin Phoenix did a fantastic job, very well written, and you really felt something through the movie. Like, the whole time I was like scared that something bad might happen in my theater. At the end of the day, though, walked out, told my wife, great movie. Not a Joker movie, but it's a great movie.
Yep. I think almost the same thing, but on a much lesser scale that we said in our Venom review.
Yeah, that was a movie that should have made a couple mil, They put Joker on the title, changed everything about the Joker. It's not a Joker movie, but since it's called Joker, it makes a lot of mill. So,
and please don't give me a sequel. I don't know if Joaquin Phoenix has ever done a sequel in his life. I don't think he'll start now, but let's just keep it as it is, right?
Yeah. I don't know what, unless you're going to put it in Pattinson's Batman, which I don't know how that would work.
The Joker would be 69 years old.
Yeah, unless Pattinson's Batman is going to take place in the 80s. I don't know.
Yeah. Banner, did you see Joker?
I have not. No, haven't gotten a chance to get away from the little one.
When you definitely do not have it on when she's anywhere near it. It'll scar her for life. And now he's going to send me a Snapchat of her like playing with toys and while the Joker's on the TV. He's like, she's fine.
It'll be all right.
All right. That's it. We go to our honorable mentions now of 2019. This is basically a chance any movie that didn't fit into those three categories that we wanted to talk about, we get to talk about. I talked about John Wick Chapter 3. And Banner, this got you pretty erect. I said, all you need to know is that I saw a photo of Keanu Reeves on a horse in Times Square with a machine gun.
Oh, yeah. I was all about that.
And that's pretty much the fucking
all of
movie.
his boxes.
So I had never seen any of the John Wicks. You told me that. I was like, all right, I'm in. I have now seen all three of them multiple times. They're fantastic. Yeah. So much fun.
Cycley's into. They're the most Banner movie I've ever seen in my life.
They're
and the
so
best part,
fun.
In the third one, in the opening scene, and minor spoilers for John Wick 3, skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't want the first 5 minutes spoiled. But Geiger, John Wick kills the backup center, Boban Marjanovic, for the Mavericks with a book in a library. That's all you need to know. He kills him with a fucking book while they try to be quiet so people can read. All right, this could create some problems, but I did say for honorable mentions, Knives Out, and I said, man, I was really interested in this movie until I saw who wrote and directed it, in Rian Johnson, and then Banner and I shit on Rian Johnson for a little bit because of the Last Jedi debacle, and I'm going to be honest, I saw it opening weekend for my birthday. I took my fiance and my mom. All three of us loved it. I'm sickened by myself and by my actions. I tried to confess to my priest. He kicked me out of the confessional booth. And he said, I read your review of The Last Jedi. How dare you? God does not have any pity for you. I liked Knives Out, and I need help. Help me.
I still never see that fucking film. I'll never see anything that Rian Johnson's attached to. He could make... I'm trying to think... Like, he could make a fucking...
He could do the Hulk Hogan biopic with Chris Hemsworth and Bradley Cooper as Vince McMahon, and you wouldn't watch it.
He could do a fucking Batman Beyond movie and bring back either Michael Keaton and fucking Christian Bale, and I'd say fuck you, no, because he'd just fuck it up somehow.
God, but Banner and I really had fun, like just kicking him while he was down at the time.
I never got the term he'd fuck up a wet dream until I saw The Last Jedi, and I know what that means now.
What's the bigger fuck up, Rian Johnson's life or that Ole Miss wide receiver who got a personal foul for pretending to piss like a dog and cost them the game against Mississippi State?
Rian Johnson's life and his stupid ass cowboy hat.
And the spelling of his first name. Well, Banner's off scot-free because he talked shit about Rian Johnson with me, but I don't think he saw the movie, so he's...
Nope, I'm good.
All right, Geiger, I'm going to give you a pass here. You mentioned The Addams Family with Oscar Isaac and Charlize Theron, but at the time, we did not know it was an anime.
I'm like, dude, I'm not going to go see a fucking animated movie. I mean, there are animated movies I would see, but not The Addams Family. I thought this was actually a real live remake, and I was excited about it. So
as did I, and that would have been badass. And then you also mentioned...
When we're looking at these movies, sometimes you don't even know shit about them, so...
Right, and then you also mentioned The Kingsman, the prequel to the two Kingsman movies, and that actually has been moved to 2020 again. So you're really
these movies being moved, man.
Yeah, I mean this one, I think there was some production issue. The trailer looks really fucking cool, and I think just for like it's done, but just for box office.
Yeah, I've seen the trailer. I'm interested.
Looks good. All right, Cycly said Pet Cemetery and It Chapter 2, so two Stephen King movies. He saw both of those. I think he liked both of them to varying degrees. And then he said Men in Black International would be another flop. And I did see that in theaters, and I can attest you're not missing anything by not going to see it. Banner, you said The Kid, the Billy the Kid movie with Chris Pratt. As he's not Billy the Kid, Dane DeHaan is. It's Chris Pratt, Vincent D'Onofrio.
Ethan
This
Hawke
was
is in
like,
it.
yeah, but this one ended up being like a limited release, so I'm not going to
Yeah.
hold this against you.
I did not. I was going to see it, and I could not find it in my hometown. But based on the box office and how much it took to make it, I'm not missing much.
I saw it. It's terrible. And coming from me and Nate Thurman, who are probably the Western guys on this pod, it's hard to make a Western that I don't like. It's very hard. But they did it. It's not very good, especially about Billy the Kid. It was very poorly casted, Billy the Kid, and then it was just dry and just.
We did make fun of Dane DeHaan as Billy the Kid. I was like, can he keep his emo hair in the Old West? Will that work?
It's kind of like the assassination of Jesse James with Brad Pitt that I was excited about, but basically it was just about Jesse's late life, and it just dragged on for 3 hours, and the ending scene was fucking cool. But it's like, dude, I wanted to see some of the James gang and some of the train robberies and shit, but you don't get any of that. It's just really dull and boring.
Chris Pratt put on a lot of weight for the role too, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that was like. I think he was just not working out. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. I don't think he Christian Baled it.
Didn't really serve the character. He was just a. All right. Yeah, that one. I don't know what happened. That was Vincent D'Onofrio, I believe, his directorial debut. So not a good.
I believe it was for movies. I think he's directed TV shows before.
Sounds right. All right, on to our custom top 5 list. As part of close to the end of our chest day. Banner, do you have yours prepared? I would love to hear yours first. And then again, this was us. We were going to make any top 5 list we wanted from the year. It could literally be your favorite movies, your least favorite movies, whatever you want. And I don't think the other bros know what we've each curated. So please, Banner, take it away.
All right. So mine, I did the top 5 TV seasons that debuted in 2019 that I saw.
That's incredible. Good for you.
So the sad thing is that it was actually really hard to come up with or to narrow it down to 5 seasons of shows that I watched. I watched a lot of TV.
I was going to say, first off, it's impressive that you even watched 5 full seasons of television this year, but to have ones that got left off of the list is really impressive.
So we going 5 to 1 or 1 to 5?
Let's go 5 to 1, and I'll ask some questions or say whatever the fuck I want.
So 5. And I'm very, very torn about this, but True Detective Season 3. I have that on there. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was a fun ride. Revisiting it will never happen.
Correct.
But it was a fun ride. I really enjoyed it. Even though there was so many just ends that never ended.
I think that's the True Detective motif, though. Incredible tickling of the balls. That to where it can just never satisfy you in the end. Yep. But still incredible TV, great acting, great writing. And we did reviews on every episode, and week to week we were just like edge of our seat the whole fucking time. Nate Thurman, I remember, was like, he came over to my house one night, we got blacked out drunk and analyzed this like 13-second scene of dialogue like for 45 minutes.
I remember that because you called me at like 2 in the morning and we're like, we need your help with this.
I was like, this is important. You were like, are you in danger? And I was like, kind of, yeah.
So I helped. Next thing, number 4, Stranger Things Season 3. This was a fantastic season to cap a series, even though we're getting more, and I don't like the direction that I think they're going to go. This capped those first 2 seasons perfectly. Went off without a hitch. Again, it was a lot of fun. They took some risks, and they all paid off. So that made it to number 4. Number 3, Barry Season 2, the HBO original.
I need to watch this show. People have told me I would love it.
It is incredible.
They're only on Season 2?
They're only on Season 2. Season 3 drops very soon, I believe. But
very soon?
Very, very soon. It's basically you have a hitman that wants to be an actor in Hollywood, and he's trying to balance those 2 lives. Bill Hader is absolutely phenomenal in this. I know a lot of people are hit or miss with him as an actor. Go watch this, and he can act. He is absolutely great. He wrote, directed. This is his thing. and it's fantastic. If you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. Very, very good.
So I'll say this, similar to Dexter, this is incredible based on everything I've heard. But there's going to be a point very soon where, just based on the concept, again, same with Dexter, where they're going to jump the shark, where it's just going to, like, it's just going to run its course. And I hope it doesn't go like 2 seasons too long like Dexter did.
I agree. But right now, this was a very, very fun, great season. Number 2, End of the Fucking World season 2. I talked about this a couple weeks on our couple weeks ago on the episode. Cycly watched this too. The first season came out a year or two ago, and it was fantastic. How they ended it, I was not excited about this second season, and how they did it and how they came in and approached the second season and what they delved into was just so creative and fantastic. A great story of bringing these characters back together that you thought weren't going to be able to bring back together. So well done. Pretty quick watch as well, which always helps.
Would you describe it as drama, comedy? I think Cycly said there's like a very, very slight dark humor element to it.
Yeah, it's more of a drama, but there are some things that are funny, and there's some things that you're like, I think I want to laugh, but I'm not sure that I should.
But the characters' lives are like so depressing at times. You're like, I don't want to be rude.
Exactly. Yeah, they need the pick-me-up.
Is there a third season coming out? Do you know?
I don't know. I hope not, but possibly. And the top movie, or the top TV season that I watched this year was Sex Education.
Wow. Nate Thurmond
brought
cheering
me
at home.
I went and watched it. It is a great show. It's funny. It has serious moments. It's got a little bit of slapstick humor, but also some really dry, witty humor. It is not afraid to dive into controversial issues, and I cannot wait for the next season to come out of this. It was a ton of fun to watch. I think I watched it in like a day and a half.
Damn.
Everybody needs to go and watch that one as well. It's not what the trailers portray it to be. The trailers kind of are going to show it. They show it more as a slapstick, funny, dick and pussies in your face all day. And it is nothing like that.
Asking for our viewers, what's the ratio of dicks to pussies in my face?
Honestly, it's like 1-to-1, and that's it. Okay. There's not very much dicks and pussies in your face.
I don't know if I like that or don't like it, but obviously Geiger and the British don't get along, so he might be sitting this one out, but I think I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, he would be sitting out 2 of my 5 TV shows.
Geiger admits he fired the first shot.
Absolutely. I did. Because they're pussies, they won't shoot first anyway, so yeah,
Correct.
I had to.
Banner, that's a great fucking list. Good work. All right, Geiger, any custom top 5 list you want to do for the year of 2019 in TV or movies? What do you got?
I have one. Thank you, Jeff, for throwing it to me. So the Broforce Squad, we have 5 criteria: acting, story, best scene, impacts on pop culture, and rewatchability. But for this, Geiger is doing the top 5 what the fuck scenes of 2019.
This is awesome.
And this could be a good what the fuck. You can tell by my tone what I think. Lion King. Opening scene.
It's number 5.
The original was fucking great. This one, I was like, what the fuck?
Is this 5 or 1? Sorry.
This is number 5.
Okay.
So, The Lion King that came out this year, the opening scene, once it hit, Nas Buena, I was like, what the fuck? This is fucking awesome. Rest of the movie, complete fucking trash. But that, I will watch that anytime it's on TV. It was a fucking great scene, and it was very well fucking done. Number 2.
My theater was already amped up. People were like shoving each other. I was like, let's go, man.
Number 2, Charlie's Angels.
You mean number 4?
Sorry, number 4, Charlie's Angels. The second movie I'm doing, but number 4 on the list. When I was in the theater, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this isn't Charlie's Angels. This is just kind of a LGBTQ fucking movie to try to like shove it down my fucking throat. I was very surprised about that, and then especially afterwards when Elizabeth Banks took to Twitter to basically bury everyone because it's their fault for not supporting a shitty movie. I was like, what the fuck? So that whole movie was a what the fuck scene to me.
Wait till we get to our 2020 preview show. I have a specific message for Elizabeth Banks, and she's not gonna like it.
Number 3.
3, yeah.
Either way,
the Joker.
It is the whole
they were
movie.
Building it up, and the tension. I haven't had this much tension in a theater ever. Not even The Dark Knight Rises when Bane breaks his back, because when Bane breaks his back, I didn't think of a fucking purple-haired kid coming and like shooting up my theater or something. That fucking scene when he kills De Niro is very well fucking done, because he's only, I think, killed one person before that, but that just made it seem like a real death. You know when you watch a movie and like Rambo kills like 40 fucking thousand people and you're like, whatever? That made it feel like someone actually fucking died in your theater. What the fuck? Whenever he fucking got shot.
And I'll put just so people know, a spoilers tag in the description for Joker. But I think the thing that made that so intense was you knew he was gonna do it like 5 minutes before he ever did it.
Yeah.
And
so you're just kind of waiting for it, and it really built up tension. Very well acted, very well directed. Number 2, and this movie was setting it up the whole time, but I didn't think they had the balls to do it. I didn't know how they were going to do it, but they did it. Yesterday, which is a fucking great movie.
I rewatched it on a plane this past week. I love Yesterday.
Whenever they bring back John Lennon, I cried. Like literally fucking cried. And if you show it to your parents, to the generation that was around when John Lennon was, alive and kicking in his prime and inspirational, they'd cry too. I was like, what the fuck? when I was crying in the fucking theater. Very fucking well done. And my number 1, what the fuck scene in 2019, dude, so many seasons, so many hours put into this, and fucking Bran Stark. What the fuck?
Goddamn stupid.
Totally, dude.
What the fuck? I thought when fucking the fat dude was talking about democracy, I thought that was fucking stupid. And then Bran just sitting there, the fucking kid in your group project that hasn't done shit, but still gets an A. Gets to be fucking king.
People at home are like, I thought we could go into 2020 and not have to talk about this anymore, but you're right. It happened, and we can't.
Notice what season did not make my top 5.
God, yeah. If you would have said you're going to do that as your top 5 list before the year, and that GOT season 8 wouldn't be on there, be shocked. I'd have lost a lot of money on that, which would have made it equal to my normal sports betting. All right, my top 5 list. Top 5 movies of 2019 that Jeff Hornacek saw that Matt Geiger will never see in his fucking life. So I have AMC A-List, which I've talked about a couple times on here. And in the summer, I work in education, so I get off. I have a little more free time. I'm allowed to see 3 movies a week. So anything that comes out, really just for the podcast or just because I'm bored, I pretty much go see it. So I saw a lot more. These aren't all artsy-fartsy movies. I'd say 3 of them are. But these are movies Geiger will never fucking see. And I'm going to read the movie title, read the description, and then just throw it to Geiger for his completely raw response to it. All right. Now, the first movie I'm going to mention, which is my number 5, I actually did not like at all, but I thought it would be really funny to get Geiger's impression on it. So this is a movie called The Goldfinch, and it stars Ansel Elgort and Nicole Kidman. And the plot synopsis is, a boy in New York is taken by a wealthy Upper East Side family after his mother is killed in a bombing in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It is 2 hours and 29 minutes, and it is based on a book, and I saw the whole thing in theaters. Geiger, what are your thoughts on The Goldfinch?
I actually saw the previews of this a lot for some reason. And I looked at my wife just hoping that she wouldn't turn to me and say, let's go see that, because that's like the scariest thing when you take your wife or girlfriend to a movie, and when you see a trailer, you're just like, please don't want to see this because you know you're gonna be ripped into it. It looked fucking stupid as hell.
And Jeffrey Wright is in it too. God, this is the slowest fucking movie. The main character has like a burgeoning drug addiction, and I found myself just like, dude, can he just OD so we can get out of here? Like, the fuck? But every time you think he ODs, he fucking bounces back. He's like the Cal Ripken of drug addicts. All right, my number 4 was a movie that I thought I would fucking hate, and I really went to it to just laugh at it. I ended up really liking it, and that is Alita: Battle Angel.
It was a lot of fun.
It was pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Christoph Waltz, Jennifer Connelly, Mahershala Ali, and the CGI heavy based on the Japanese comic, and the plot synopsis is a deactivated cyborg is revived but cannot remember anything of her past life and goes on a quest to find out who she is. Geiger, Alita Battle Angel. Any chance I can sell you?
No. Cool.
It was fun, dude. Banner, I'm glad you saw it.
Yeah, I had fun in it. It was one that like I don't think they marketed it very well, and I think I saw it in the airport on like a billboard like 2 days before it came out, and I did not see it in theaters, but I saw it later, and I was like, they should have done a lot more with this. This is really good animation and CGI work. The mocap on it was good. I thought Mahershala Ali was fantastic.
He was not in it enough, but good.
No, not in it enough. But when he was, it was a treat, and it was just a fun movie.
Yeah, and I don't know the source material, and I think that's who they made it for, was for like these Japanese comic fans. So whatever the end scene, I won't spoil the cameo for it at the end, but there's an actor who we all fucking hate at the end, and I just want to ask him. So you'll do this movie, but think about how much fucking money you lost. Because you apparently wouldn't do these types of movies.
Yeah. Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
No, even worse. I'll just say it. Spoilers for Alita Battle Angel. It's fucking Edward Norton.
Oh.
His dumb ass is in the end. Fuck him. All right. Number 3 needs no introduction. Knives Out. Obviously, it's on here, and these are ranked as how much I liked them. Obviously, Geiger, you'll never see it.
I mean, I heard it was a really good movie, and I'm actually almost tempted to go until I remember how much I hate Rian Johnson. Then I see Chris Evans' dumb fucking face on there, too. There's 2 reasons for me to just never even go near this movie.
And I'll say this. In this movie, Chris Evans is loving his own performance. He's like, God, I'm so fucking
witty. You could tell that from the trailer.
I think Chris he's a Evans, terrible actor.
He's like, I put the shield down. I can say fuck now. And it's like, all right, we get it. All right, number 2 on my list. This was an incredible movie. It's called The Farewell. It's directed by a Chinese director named Lulu Wang, and the plot synopsis is a Chinese family discovers their grandmother has only a short while left to live and decide to keep her in the dark, scheduling a wedding to gather before she dies. It stars Awkwafina in a serious role. She's going to get nominated for Best Actor for this. And if you've ever lost a grandparent, this movie is going to tug at those heartstrings. And Geiger, I don't think it's a movie that on the surface you would like, but I actually think if you sat through it, you would enjoy it. And I'm looking up the runtime. It's only an hour, 36 minutes. So The Farewell.
This one I might actually see, especially, if we're going to be at Nate Thurman's house for New Year's Eve. If you drop that line to my wife, she'll probably make me watch it. So
it's not horrible. Yeah, it's really not horrible. It's an independent film. And we all have our roles in this problem. That is the problem. All right, the last one was a complete mindfuck of a movie, and you're lucky Ronnie Cycley's not on the podcast because we would talk about this movie for 2 hours. It is the movie Midsommar, directed and written by Ari Aster, who did that movie Hereditary. And the plot synopsis, a couple travels to Sweden to visit a rural hometown's fabled Midsummer Festival. What begins as an idyllic retreat quickly devolves into an increasingly violent and bizarre competition at the hands of a pagan cult, and it stars Florence Pugh and Jack Rayner. This was a movie where I saw it by myself in the middle of like a Tuesday. There was another guy 4 rows behind me by himself, same deal. And about 30 minutes in, there's a scene, and I don't think there were any kids in the theater, but he yells out, "What the fuck?" And I turned around and I was like, right? It's a total mindfuck of a movie.
Right.
And Geiger, it's long. It is 2 hours, 27 minutes. You would never sit through it, but if I described the plot to you, you would be interested, I think.
I mean, I can say I like mindfuck movies where like you have no clue what's going on the whole time, and then they drop a big thing on you, and it actually makes sense. It's awesome.
It's very interesting. It's very, very interesting.
Other than just making a main character someone's granddaughter, just because it's.
No one knows what you're talking about. No one knows what you're. Stop. No one knows what you're referring to. All right, before we move on to the last part of our show today, because we don't have a fan question, which is our protein shake, was there any movies that we did not talk about from 2019 that you guys want to mention? I want to talk briefly, and I'll let you guys go first, but we did say this was Year of the documentary, and I have two documentaries I want to briefly talk about, but Banner, I'll throw it to you first, and if you don't have anything, that's totally fine because I'm putting you on the spot, but anything you did not get to bring up today that you do want to mention before we close the book on 2019's movie season?
I agree, Year of the Doc, but I will actually save my closing comments for Protein Shake because I saw another one here last couple of days that I want to talk about.
Perfect. Geiger, how about you?
I'll say Year of the Doc, but I'll also say Year of Streaming because two of my biggest surprise movies, not necessarily maybe surprised, The Irishman was one of them that finally came out on Netflix that I was very into and loved. We talked about Triple Frontier, but I think the best Netflix movie this year is The Fucking Dirt. That Motley Crue documentary movie was fantastic. A really fun cast. Had Ramsey Bolton from Game of Thrones. Had Machine Gun Kelly as Tommy Lee. I just rewatched it the other day, and I would say that's like the best fucking streaming movie I've seen all fucking year. And I think that's going to be more and more relevant as we go through in 2020, 2021, 2022. Some of the greatest movies are going to be coming on Netflix and Disney Plus.
I totally agree. And when we do our 2020 preview show, that's the tough thing. Is like finding all these releases on streaming to include. So we could easily drop the ball there. For Year of the Doc, I have two that I want to talk about real quick. And then very briefly, I actually added a few of my favorite and least favorite movies. But I Love You, Now Die, The Commonwealth versus Michelle Carter. This was an HBO documentary. I know, Geiger, you were interested in it. I don't know if you saw it.
I watched it, yeah.
This is the one where she texted him telling him to kill himself, right?
It was a two-parter. Yeah. One was her side, one was his. Very interesting.
Yeah, and I love, and Geiger mentioned this last time, I think we discussed it, but the fact that they give you both sides of the story, I think is incredibly important and what made me like this movie. Would you agree, or do you have a different opinion, Matt?
I love when it's two sides of the story because I hate when I'm like, okay, what's the narrative first? Then because like Making a Murderer, I'll read the other side of it. I'm like, dude, the Stephen Avery guy isn't like as fucking great as people crack him up to be. He looks like kind of a stalker guy. I can see him doing this. I love that, but I love that they split it in two. So it's like, here's one side, here's the other side. Now go to the bar and talk about it. I think every documentary should be done that way.
Yep. It was done very, very well. And then, Banner, I think you and I talked about this. The Inventor, Out for Blood in Silicon Valley, about that company Theranos.
Yeah.
Absolutely mind-blowing. Another HBO one, right?
Yep.
If you haven't seen this and you've ever paid for a blood test, go check it out, dude. It just shows you how fucked up the medical community is and just how nuts things are.
Also, HBO, What's My Name? The Muhammad Ali documentary is fucking brilliant, too. Came out this year.
I do need to see that. All right, really briefly, my favorite movie of the year. Again, I don't know if you guys don't have these together. I just did this off the top. My favorite movie of the year was Yesterday, which Geiger briefly talked about. The Danny Boyle directed kind of revisionist history if the Beatles never existed. Worst movie of the year, I had it. It's a tie between Serenity with Matthew McConaughey and Dark Phoenix. Sorry, Banner.
Nah, it's fine. It's where we deserve to be.
My biggest surprise movie, Banner, I think you saw this, Murder Mystery with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston on Netflix.
So much fun.
Who knew that was going to be so fun? Good?
Yeah.
And then my biggest disappointment, Geiger, I hope you don't wring your hands at this, but The Highwayman with Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson. It was fine, but dude, I had really high expectations for that, and it was like a bore to get through, I have to say.
No, that's fine. I can't say anything bad. I've never watched it again, so.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that movie was forgettable. Like Bonnie and Clyde, those two dudes as the cops hunting them down. Like you, me, and I think everybody on the pod were fucking jacked up for that. And I was like 40 minutes to an hour into it, and I was like, dude, this is not going where I thought it was gonna go. It's pretty slow. But again, that's to the strength of Netflix that that movie in a typical year would be they're a top streaming service film. This year it doesn't even crack the top 3.
Yeah.
All right, last part of our show is our protein shake, where we go around and talk about what's in our cup, also known as what have we watched lately. I have 3 things I'll really briefly mention, and then I'll toss it to you, Geiger. I watched the second to last episode of High School the series titled Thanksgiving. I think Banner and I will probably just save our thoughts for the finale, as it's out now and we need to watch it. But man, is it EJ? Who's the fucking water polo guy?
I can't fucking stand EJ.
Dude, he has fallen off of a goddamn cliff. He's like Tracy McGrady after his knee injury. It's like, what has become of you?
He is the fucking worst.
He's horrible. And obviously it's by design, but like, Jesus Christ, dude, you're embarrassing yourself. Getting 128 likes on that Instagram post. I mean, the dude's canceled.
Sure.
Last thing I thought of, Carlos, it was kind of rude to invite all the nerds to Ashlyn's house party.
Without asking first.
I mean, have a little social tact. So that's all I'll say about High School Musical, the musical series. The Mandalorian finished it up. Season 1, Episode 8, The Redemption. Look for Banner, Nate Thurman, and mine's review coming out soon. And saw Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Actually saw it twice. Very, very much improved on the second viewing. Like, almost exponentially. I cannot believe how much more I like it. And prior to seeing that, I watched The Force Awakens, which is a very, very good Star Wars movie. Like, it's tough to top the pantheon of Star Wars, but it's probably at the very top of the second half of Star Wars movies, which is not a shameful place to be. I will say that. So check out our Rise of Skywalker review. It's a lot better the second time. All right, Matt, what's in your cup, also known as What Have You Watched Lately?
Yeah, so since these two guys are pretty much in Disney's pocket and in their payroll, I gotta represent Netflix and Hulu and all this other streaming shit. So I'm diving into The Witcher, which is supposed to be the new Game of Thrones. Like, it's Netflix Game of Thrones, man. You gotta fucking check it out. And Cavill's in it.
You know it's based on a video game?
Yeah, and a book, Banner.
I don't know
books, that. I think. They're plural, more than one. So basically, if Orlando Bloom went to prison, like in fucking Lord of the Rings, like Henry Cavill would basically not be the bitch in that relationship, if you know what I mean. He looks just like Orlando Bloom from Lord of the Rings. And this,
but if he started doing
what's that?
But if he started doing deadlift and pull-ups, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And I like Cavill. Never had a problem with Cavill. Liked him as Superman. Liked him in a lot of the shows. I just don't think this is for me. I don't like Lord of the Rings. And once a fucking like a fucking Elephant Man type guy and a bunch of elves come in, that's kind of where I just, drink my beer, pay my tab, and just like leave the bar and let the kids fucking have fun. I don't see how this is Game of Thrones. Everyone's saying this is Netflix version of Game of Thrones. It's not. Banner, I don't know if you've watched this at all. And there's a lot of shit going on that I know there's like 3 characters right now that they're probably going to bring together, and it's going to be a holy shit fucking thing. The only problem with that is right now I don't give a shit about the other 2 characters at all. Could care less about them. So I don't think I'll even care about the big reveal that's happening. And apparently it's taking place in a lot of different timelines, so you got to pay attention. But
Jesus.
I know,
yeah,
this is just not
exhausting.
I don't think this is a show for me at all. And I'm very disappointed because I was very looking forward to watching it. I'm 4 episodes in, and I'm thinking about just quitting.
Well, we've talked about this a lot, like the binge model versus what Disney Plus does. If you're Netflix and you have a show that's not as appealing, I think, like, you've probably watched more of this than you would if it was week to week, right?
Absolutely, because after about 2 weeks, I'd be like, yeah, if I remember. But this, I mean, I'll just be like, okay, just give it another episode, Then I'm like, dude, these are 10, I think it's 10 episodes, and I'm 4 deep. Don't you think I should be in by now?
Are they 30 minutes or an hour?
I think they're 45 to an hour.
It's tougher.
Yeah, that's a tough watch.
My brother likes it, and my mom's giving it a shot.
I want you guys to just watch one episode because I want to talk about Cavill's voice he's doing. Because it was cool at first, but it just seems a little forced. I don't know.
We need to have this debate on another pod, but does Henry Cavill just suck?
I hate him.
At what point do we stop blaming everyone else around him and we're like, dude, you're
that's what my wife said. She's like, I can't believe they got Cavill to do this. I said, it's because he can't get a role in Hollywood anymore, I don't think. Everyone just thinks he's so vanilla.
I mean, what has he done that's good? Man of Steel is the best movie. Yeah, it's right, but like Man from U.N.C.L.E., no one watched it. Okay,
I liked Immortals. Immortals was good.
Mission Impossible Fallout, best movie of the year, but not because of him.
Fallout Boy.
Fallout Boy.
Mission Impossible Fallout Boy. God, I can't wait for the Oscars. All right. Anything else you watched, Matt?
No, that's the only thing I want to talk about, just because I thought it'd start a conversation maybe in the comment section, because a lot of people really like this show. I just don't. I don't think it's for me.
Guys, in the comments, convince me to watch The Witcher. I'm not a tough guy to sell, I promise.
I don't think it's bad. I just don't think it's for me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
it's like the salad section at the buffet. I'm sure it's good, but I want prime rib.
Right, and no one can blame you for that. All right, Banner, I think you and I might have watched one of the same things if you're looking at my list, but what's in your cup? What have you seen lately?
All right, so at the end of last episode, me and the wifey were going through watching all the Star Wars movies. We finished up from A New Hope through Last Jedi, and then I forced myself to watch that piece of shit because I knew how much they were going to have to retcon into Rise of Skywalker. Saw Rise of Skywalker. Check out a review on that to hear more of my thoughts on it. But plowed through all those Star Wars movies. Then I went into full-on Christmas mode. Christmas of the Cranks, Home Alone 2. Watched all three of those. How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Which one?
I actually watched
Cumberbatch?
Cumberbatch one.
I love the Cumberbatch one.
It was so much fun.
It's really, really good.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought it was just like overplayed, but I was like, fine, we'll put it on. We'll give it a shot.
Max is such a scene star. I mean, does anyone work harder than Max around Christmas time?
I love Fred too.
Fred's good. Kenan Thompson's good in the movie too.
Yeah.
Rashida Jones is Cindy Lou Who's mom. Everything works.
Yeah, it was. I liked it just as much as I liked the original cartoon. Not a big fan of Jim Carrey's version of it, but that's just me. Then last night I watched Booksmart. I know Jeff, you've seen this. Matt, have you seen Booksmart yet?
No.
Okay.
Matt's afraid he might laugh at it.
I don't know what it is.
It's the female Superbad.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd watch that.
Yeah, it was fine.
Jason Sudeikis is hilarious.
He is a Steen sealer. He is awesome in it.
Yeah.
When he's their Lyft driver,
he's their principal and the Lyft driver who picks them up. And when they get in the car, he's like, "Fuck!" He's like hoping he never gets a student.
My only knock on it is Beanie Feldstein, who plays Molly. I could not fucking stand her in this. I couldn't tell if
is that Jonah Hill's half sister or the other chick.
I think it's Jonah Hill's half sister. She was trying to be Jonah Hill, and it was not working.
So I'll say this: I think she hit, especially in the third act, the emotional beats really well, but comedically,
that was the problem. Yeah,
it seemed a little hard.
The scene at the end when they kind of have their falling out and getting that fight at that party, that scene was so well shot. And you felt every emotion coming from both of them in that, and everything about that was fantastic. But the main thing I really wanted to talk about was a Netflix show, miniseries, Matt, not Disney, but Netflix. Don't Fuck with Cats. Hunting an Internet Killer.
Oh, I had seen some tweets about this.
So they were shoving this down my throat. And so I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot.
How many episodes?
3 episodes. Each one's like an hour long. They're not that bad. Basically, it is this guy on the internet films himself doing disgusting, disturbing things to cats and posts it on the internet. And these
like the dark web or like the internet?
Like the dark web, I believe.
Like
it is nothing sexual he's doing. He's torturing cats is what he's doing. It is kind of tough to watch that first episode.
You have to watch him torture the cats, or you just know that he did it?
You just know that he did it.
Okay, like, I don't want to see that.
No. I would have turned it off if they showed that. It's disgusting. I almost turned it off anyway. But there's these group of people that are on Facebook that said, you know what, we're going to find this guy. And they break this video down frame by frame and they end up figuring out who it is.
Damn.
And this guy ends up upgrading from torturing animals to killing a person. And then
does he post that online?
He does.
Jesus Christ! There's a movie about this with Diane Lane. I can't remember what it's called, but now I'm gonna watch this.
Yeah, and it's about the international manhunt because he was in like 3 or 4 different countries and how he tried to cover his tracks. And it's a very interesting watch. But I will warn you, the first episode is extremely graphic and really hard to. It was hard to get through.
Okay. Damn.
Jesus.
I need help, but I'm interested.
Yeah, I want. This is something that I know Cycly has watched. Like,
do you watch that
he hasn't
nap
told
time,
me.
Or?
Yeah.
There's no bad time to watch it, really.
Yeah, I don't understand. That's just something that I just watched.
Jesus Christ.
We put Little Mermaid on the iPad and gave it to her. She was fine.
Yeah, so you could watch the cat killer thing.
Everyone gets their own content in 2020. That's the rule.
It's fucking great.
Anything else, Banner?
No, I think that was about it.
All right, I watched Six Underground, the Michael Bay, Ryan Reynolds Netflix movie. Did you see this, Banner? I know you talked about maybe.
I got like 5, maybe 10 minutes in, and I was just like, you know what? I'm tired, and this is not doing enough for me.
Okay. So I'll describe. This is Michael Bay ejaculating into all of our faces. It is probably 2 hours, 7 minutes, and there's, I'm not being facetious here, maybe 11 minutes of dialogue or plot. It's so hilarious. This is not a movie. It's 3 separate 26-minute action set pieces with a little bit of dialogue in between them. The plot makes absolutely no fucking sense. Anytime the characters talk to each other, you can tell Michael Bay is like really uneasy and squirming in his chair. He's like, why don't they just shoot someone else? He's like, well, there has to be a little bit of dialogue. It's all quippy one-liners in the middle of action sequences, and I ate it up. I mean, it is so stupid. It's so much fun. Is it good filmmaking? Oh my God, absolutely not. It's the furthest thing from it. But it's Michael Bay with a boner doing crane shots for 2 hours and 5 minutes. And if you make a sequel to this thing, you just let me know the fucking release date and I'm there. It is in no way filmmaking. This is like a 14-year-old who got $200 million to go blow shit up. And they use every cent of that budget. So I know people have made fun of it. Some people have called it the worst movie of the decade. But that's not fair because this isn't a movie. It's not a movie.
God, that's one of the greatest reviews. I'm probably going to go watch it.
Yeah, you just sold me on that.
I mean, we have to do a commentary because it's the dumbest fucking thing of all time. That's all I can say. I don't know. We could add.
Ryan Reynolds. I love Ryan Reynolds.
And Ryan Reynolds is funny in it, but there's nothing happens. 3 separate times, shit blows up, people get shot, and at the end of the day, even the characters don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're like, why? You could rearrange all 3 of the acts in any order, and nothing would change about the whole movie. Last thing I saw, and I'm pissed. I saw A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the quote-unquote Mr. Rogers biopic starring Tom Hanks. This movie is sold to us as a Mr. Rogers biopic, but Mr. Rogers is in maybe 15 minutes of it. It's about a reporter named Lloyd Vogel who's estranged from his father, and his wife recently gave birth to a child, and he's struggling with dealing with his dad, trying to come back into his life while he's dying. And he just so happens to be asked to interview Mr. Rogers at this time in his life. So there are 3 separate scenes where he talks to Tom Hanks for about 5 minutes each, and the other hour and 55 minutes is him with his father, played by Chris Cooper, struggling with their relationship or lack thereof throughout his life. I don't know what the fuck this is. I don't know why they tried to tell us it was a Mr. Rogers biopic, but I would equate it to about how much Nebula is in Avengers Endgame is about how much Mr. Rogers is in this movie.
That's ridiculous.
At most. And the one time Mr. Rogers is in it, it's like dream sequences. He's like coping with his relationship with his dad, imagining himself on Mr. Rogers' show. So there's nothing about Mr. Rogers' backstory, his life, how he came to be, the rumors about him allegedly being a Marine who has like a kill count in the 50s as a sniper, his death, his relationship with his kids, his wife, why he started the show. None of that is talked about at all. This guy interviews him 2 separate times and has 2 dream sequences with him. It was disgusting. And
why is this movie even made? Like, I guess we'd have to ask our parents that, how much Mr. Rogers influenced him, but wouldn't this basically be like if Daniel Day-Lewis played Barney for our generation? Like, are we supposed to take this serious? I don't know. I didn't think Mr. Rogers was that inspirational of a character. I think he's like maybe on the same headwind as like Bob Barker from The Price is Right or something.
Clearly the filmmakers felt the exact same way, because he's at best a footnote in this film. They used his name as a vehicle to tell a story about Frank Vogel, this reporter for Esquire magazine, and his relationship with his estranged father. I don't get it. If you want to make that movie, that's fine, but don't fucking cast Tom Hanks, strap a button-up sweater on him, and tell me it's a Mr. Rogers movie. I'm a little angry.
It's called Vogel.
Yeah, just do that. And it could easily be about Frank Vogel, former Indiana Pacers head coach.
God, that'd be awesome. I'd watch that.
I'd watch that too, actually. All right, before we leave the people for our 97th episode and our 2019 year in review, as we close the book and look forward to turning the calendar to 2020, Geiger, what do you want to leave the people with?
I think the best movie of the year was Endgame. That's how you end shit. I don't. Is it the best Marvel movie? No, but did it not fuck up everything they built? Absolutely yes, and they ended it correctly, which is apparently hard to do because no one else can do that. No one else can end stuff that they built up that was so great. So I think that was the greatest movie of the year because it had the most writing on it.
Very well said. And I'm actually glad you bring that up, because oftentimes the tentpole films that we love so much and talk about so much, we do exclude from some of these types of episodes. That's because you don't want to listen to us to tell you Avengers Endgame was awesome. Listen to our review. You know it was awesome. It's sort of implicit. Banner, what do you want to leave the people with for 2019?
Just make sure you guys pull over for emergency vehicles. I actually had to pull over for one the other day. I was very pleased. Everybody else did as well. And don't be one of those people that like try and jump behind the emergency vehicle and ride their coattails to get past traffic. That's a dick move too, man.
Everyone sees through that. You're not fooling anyone. Well said, Banner. All right. For the mad scientist Brian Banner and our enforcer in the paint, Matt Geiger, I'm the mayor, Jeff Hornacek, and we are the Bro Force Squad podcast. We very much look forward to seeing you guys in 2020. Follow us on Twitter at Bro Force Squad. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. Type in Bro Force Squad. That's 3 separate words. Type those same 3 words into letterboxd.com. You can read all of our reviews. Go to our website, broforcesquad.com. At the top of our website right now, we actually have a survey link. If you could fill that out for us and tell us what we're doing that sucks and what we're doing that's awesome, we will give you a shout out on our show. It's at the very top there. I'll actually link it in this description as well. Thank you guys for everything. We look forward to seeing you in 2020 at the movies. And we love you 3000.
Booked ended. That was nice.